I'm really thrilled to be here with you today, and I'm hoping that my talk is really just a sort of a personal set of stories about my experiences in experiential learning. And I was hoping to share those with you a little bit, and maybe something in there will inspire you to do something in experiential learning that's even more valuable than the things that I've had the opportunity to do. I wanted to take a second, of course, and just remind everyone to try to reach that goal if we could. But I'll dive right in and try to talk a little bit about why I chose this topic. When I was looking at the call, one of the things that came out to me was global citizenship, and how we can, as teachers, support and equip students to be global citizens. And I think the answer is really, or one of the answers anyways, is experiential learning and experiential education. And I think experiential education, as you'll see in some of my later examples, covers a wide range of curriculum, whether it's volunteering or training or career development. I think it runs quite a large gamut. And if we go all the way back to Dewey, in 1938, he mentioned that there's an organic connection between education and personal experience. And when I look at my own family background with, my grandfather was a principal in the public school system, and my father taught in the college system. And one thing they both had in common was that they liked to work in the community. And the thing I noticed as a young person, sort of looking up to them, was seeing, that sometimes those opportunities would inspire students in ways that maybe they wouldn't have been inspired in sort of a typical classroom environment. They gained a confidence that wasn't necessarily there otherwise. And so my view of education is that it's primarily a social experience, that promotes community. But I have to say that, of course, not all experiences have the same value. And certainly some of the experiential learning projects that I've been a part of, some have been fantastic and others have been a little less so. And I think that really speaks to what we're trying to accomplish with our experiential learning. And as a teacher, I think we have to be able to take that experience that we have and be able to provide, using our experience, those opportunities for, a richer learning environment. And I think when we're building an experiential learning opportunity, we have to think of a few things. We have to think of what choices we can build in there for students, how they might be sort of empowered by the opportunity. And also, if there's a way to build in some learner control over what those learning outcomes will be, I think that makes it all the more valuable. I think there's a lot of benefits for learners in terms of what they can do with experiential learning. I've listed a few of them here. I think there's some social benefits, of course, cognitive benefits. Learning about the target culture, language skills, and that last one I think is particularly important. I think students gain a confidence to contribute. I've seen students just absolutely blossom, and learners blossom under this, and that willingness to take greater risks, I think, is something that experiential, these sorts of experiences really help with. Beyond that, I think when I look at some of the effects that you can get with experiential learning, I think it has an impact on the community. I think it allows you to explore issues in multiculturalism in a way that's safe, but also allows for a greater worldview to happen around you. But I think one of the other interesting things, as students and learners and community members are able to challenge maybe some of the inequalities that they are facing as either an individual or a group, I think the other thing that really is interesting is that it creates this cognitive dissonance. And normally we think of that as a bad thing. But in this case, there's always a bit of cognitive dissonance between sort of what a learner's expectations of the experience is going to be and what they actually are in reality. And I think that's really where the learning happens for both parties. And I think that's something that's really neat to see when a student is able to sort of push through and get beyond that. And so I wanted to spend just a little bit of time talking about a few of the projects that I've been involved, well, a couple of them really. This particular photo here was a collaboration between UNESP in Sao Paulo, the professor there, Ana Cristina Biondo Salma, and I connected through Teletandem, and we had our two sets of students. They were 8,000 kilometers apart. They worked on their research papers together, and they shared stories about how they were researching, what they were what they were able to do with their research skills, and sort of supporting each other. Even though the topics were somewhat different, they could provide a little bit of research skills that, you know, were really helpful. And so this particular student here, Eddie, you know, was talking to his partner, you know, back in Brazil, and, you know, he was having a great opportunity. He loved this. This photo actually comes from the Brock University newspaper. And, you know, he gave quite a quote of how much it meant to him to have a mentor, and what he was able to learn from another school experience, even though it was so far away. And I wanted to show another photo from a group that I did a lot with. Here I've blocked out some of the faces, but what we had here was the nursing department was looking to engage with our bridging students. And so we had the nursing professor here that you can see in the distance, and also some of her nursing students within the group, meeting our students. And as you can see, they're knitting and crocheting here, which is sort of an interesting experience. So primarily they got together for the purpose of knitting and crocheting hats for preemies in the hospital. But what we found that was such an interesting spin-off benefit was for many of our students, their grandmother or grandfather had participated in this, but they'd never been taught it. And so sort of a heritage skill that they were learning at the same time. But there was also this benefit of having nursing students with bridging students, being able to discuss in an environment. You know, for our students, they were able to get a bit better sense informally of how to explore the healthcare system and get the help that they needed and ask questions that they maybe wouldn't have otherwise been able to ask. Whereas the nursing students got practice dealing with what it would be like to talk to an immigrant population and how to gather information. And so both were really benefiting from this experience that I think, you know, was very positive. And so, you know, these sorts of things I think can come up organically, but I think, you know, it's possible to look at the needs of both parties and to be able to design something that can fulfill and be reciprocal of what both groups are needing. I think that should always be the goal with these sorts of projects. And so I think I'm just about out of time there. I wanted to say just a few things around what I think are the benefits of experiential learning. As I said before, I think there is an incredible value in helping students and learners become confident to contribute. I think that allows for more risk-taking. More risk-taking allows for more language learning and the development of those learning outcomes. It promotes more engagement. I've never seen students produce more, you know, either through speaking or writing texts than they did through these sorts of activities. I think it really helps to break down stereotypes and promotes a safe space to discuss issues around multiculturalism that allows both the community and the learner to feel safe and to talk about those issues. And ultimately, and the reason that we're here today, I think it helps to create global citizens. So, you know, thank you for having the time today. I wish I could have seen you face to face. You know, there's my references there. And I wish you all the best. Please do donate and support this wonderful cause.